Chapter 12 Respiration. And here we are going to cover the three lessons: respiration, aerobic respiration, and anaerobic respiration. Again, please revisit the objectives of the lesson to make sure that you studied well. Okay, so why do we need energy? Why do our bodies need energy? We need energy not just for movement and the obvious activities that we do. Also, we need energy for the very simple muscle contraction. Even your heart, while beating, it needs energy. So every muscle in your body, including your heart and your gut, and every single muscle, voluntary or involuntary, needs energy. Making protein. So in order to make those amino acids into proteins, to link them and build proteins, you need energy. Obviously, for active transport, to move the substances that you need against concentration gradient, you need energy. Transmitting nerve impulses. Even for your nervous system to work, you need energy. Producing heat inside your body to keep your body temperature stable and to keep your body activities working, because as we all know, enzymes need this optimum temperature to work. You need energy to grow, for the cell division. So all of your body functions need energy. How do we get this energy? After food is digested, it's broken down into the very small molecules that's delivered to the blood and then transported to your cells. Remember, digestion, breaking down, and then the nutrients get transported to the blood by absorption, and then the cells receive those nutrients by assimilation. Remember which nutrient was responsible for energy? Yes, it's glucose. So glucose will be broken down further into each cell by the very famous reaction, the aerobic respiration. Now, let's take a look at the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration we covered multiple times before. It's the chemical reaction that uses oxygen and glucose to release energy. Where does it take place? In the mitochondria inside each cell, controlled by respiration enzymes. Carbon dioxide is produced and a large amount of energy is usually released. Here is the word equation for aerobic respiration. Glucose plus oxygen will always produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy. And this is the chemical equation, and please make sure that you balance it. And if you notice, it's quite the opposite of, yes, photosynthesis. Now let's take a look at the other side of this comparison, anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration, it is the breaking down of nutrient molecules to release energy, but without oxygen. This is the main key word. So the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration is the absence of oxygen in the case of anaerobic respiration. Where does it take place? It takes place in the cytoplasm. Here it takes place in the mitochondria. Where does it happen? Sometimes in some plant cells for a short time, sometimes in some muscle cells in order to produce a lot of energy when oxygen is not sufficient, but mainly it happens in yeast. Yeast only respires anaerobically. So when it breaks down glucose, it produces alcohol. So glucose gets broken down into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Lactic acid is also produced in the animal muscles. That's why you can feel ache in your muscles after a very strong activity, because lactic acid is an acid, so it's a little bit hurting, or it can hurt your muscles a little bit. Less energy is released, of course, because aerobic respiration is the one that produces the most amount of energy. Okay, what are the uses of anaerobic respiration in our life? Other than that, sometimes our muscles use it to produce or to enhance the production of energy and to have more and more energy beside our normal aerobic respiration, bakers use it. Why? In order to make the baking rise. So they use this yeast to make the baking rise. So how does this happen? Because high temperature will kill the yeast and evaporate the alcohol and causes carbon dioxide bubbles to expand. This will make the bread softer and spongy. Not only bread, a lot of bakeries are made this way. So that's why bakers use yeast to make any dough rise and increase in its size and gives it its spongy texture. Fermentation scientists now are researching how to use this yeast in the industrial process, such as biofuels. Now, let's take a look at the word equation here. We have glucose again, gets broken down into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Anaerobic respiration in muscles happen during very strong exercise. How does this happen? When glucose gets broken into lactic acid. So we have two types of equations for the anaerobic respiration. And remember, this happens to increase the energy in the muscles with vigorous exercise or very strong exercise. Now let's answer some questions together. The table shows some of the features of respiration. Which row is correct for anaerobic respiration? So, which one is it? It is the one where energy remaining in the products is still high because the amount of energy released is low. Remember when we said that during aerobic respiration, we obtain the energy by breaking down the bonds between the glucose molecule. So if we did not break it totally, we will release a small amount. So the amount of energy trapped inside the glucose molecule will still be more than the amount released. So that's why the energy remaining in the products of this process will still be high, because we still have some bonds that were not broken yet, while the energy released from this breaking is low. Chemical pathway, different in different organisms. As we said before, we had two different equations for aerobic respiration, and releases carbon dioxide sometimes, because remember in the lactic acid equation we did not have carbon dioxide released. 4 words are shown below. These words can be used in the spaces P, Q, R, and S to complete the sentences below. In brewing and bread making, respiration takes place. The microorganism called space uses space as a source of food. The product of this space respiration is space. Which combination of words correctly completes the sentences? How will we solve this question in paper 1 without getting confused? I recommend that you write the right answers here using those words and then answer the question. So let's see the answer. It's gonna be first P. So in brewing and bread making, respiration takes place. The microorganism yeast uses sugar as a source of food. The product of this anaerobic respiration is alcohol. So now if you have them written, it will be easy for you to find which row is the correct one without getting confused in the between the letters and the sentences and the words. Okay, thank you, and I hope this video helps you study.